Hello, everyone. Hello. If everybody take a seat, we're going to get started. It is 6:04, so we are going to stay on task here. My name is Deb Williamson, and I am the Executive Director at the Milton Area Chamber of Commerce. We thank you all for being here and being flexible since we got snowed out last Thursday. I think we've all learned that now we don't hold things on Thursdays anymore because it's snowstorms. So thank you all for being flexible and rearranging your schedules and being here. We expect a great forum tonight, and Derek Henze, who is our current board president at the chamber, is also going to be moderating for tonight. And I am actually going to turn this over to Derek. And he is going to tell you about how this is going to be run. We will have our first group will be for the school board. The next group is city council, and mayor will be the last group. Okay, so I'm going to give this to Derek. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Deb. So what I'm going to do is just give everybody an understanding of the rules and how we're going to proceed with everything, and a little housekeeping as well. So the rules is the council of each session will be allowed 2 minutes of an opening statement. There's one individual that won't be able to make it tonight, them prior of their turn. Each candidate is going to be allowed up to 2 minutes to respond to each question. Order of answering first will be rotated. The selection of who receives the first question will be, I got these fancy dice up front, and we'll do a little dice roll in the beginning to see, and the high dice number will go first, and then we'll rotate clockwise from there. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for a closing statement at the end, and our time moderator will give the candidates prompting of remaining time as they do answer questions. The moderator, that's me, will manage rebuttal requests within to it. So if somebody wants to add on his rebuttal to a statement or whatnot, that will be allowed as time allows within to it. But I'll also moderate it where not one person's just taking up too much time themselves within to it, respectively. So those are the statement of the rules for tonight. Please, if I could give you a gentle reminder to silence your cell phones. I really appreciate that. Out in the lobby is a restroom if somebody needs to take a break within to that. We do have an opportunity process for questions from the audience. And our circulator, John Cruzan, in the back, he has pens as well as index cards. So if there's a question that you're interested in, feel free to grab a card and write down your question. As time allows, John will bring them up to me and we'll try to get them in there as best we can. Okay. Candidates are welcome to stay afterwards for general discussion with the visitors tonight. So that's our rules and our housekeeping for the session. All right. I guess we'll get things started. First, we're going to have up the school board. If we could please invite Tracy Hanna and Ed Snow up to the front.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having us. Cheers. I'm going to get it right here. So within to this is Ed had won the role. He's going to have the first question of the evening within to that. And we'll also start with Ed on introductions. So if you could give a 2-minute introduction of yourself.
You bet. Can everybody hear me okay? Is it picking up all right in the back? Awesome. Feels weird not leaning into the mic. So good evening, everybody, and thanks to the council for hosting this event. This is really nice to see everybody here and that they put on such a great event. My name's Ed Snow. For those of you who've never met me or don't know me, I'm a transplant, but it was in third grade, so I think I'm a long-time person here. I am a proud father of a wonderful daughter who's an educator up in Fort Atkinson, so don't hold that against us. I'm devoted to my wife. She's an amazing person. She's a pharmacist at Mercy. Super happy here. And most of all, what I hope you take away from me is that I'm someone who's been in the community for a super long time, and I really care a lot about this community. I've worked at the school district probably for about somewhere between 18 and 20 years. I've lost track. I've moved on since then and worked for the state of Wisconsin. I worked for the Department of Public Instruction, and I'm currently working for the Education Communication Board, which is really a fancy long title, which means PBS. So I work for PBS and NPR. So when you watch the home improvement shows on PBS and the morning fitness shows, it's my team that helps put that together. I have been blessed in my life to do a lot in education. I love education. It's the reason I decided to come back after leaving the school district and see if I could help out in the school board. I have been honored with serving on several educational boards, including the Wisconsin Educational Technology Leaders Board, an international board called International Society of Technology and Education. I have testified in front of the FCC on broadband issues, and I'm currently sitting on the governor's cybersecurity committee, advising the governor on cybersecurity issues, specifically towards K-12. And that's a lot about me. I'm going to pause there, and hopefully find out a little bit more as time goes on.
Thank you, Ed. Tracy, if we could have your 2-minute opening introduction.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming this evening. My name is Tracy Hanna. My family and I are proud members of the Milton School District community with our son currently enrolled in the 8th grade. I'm a certified public accountant with over 20 years of financial professional experience in accounting. Both my husband and I are also volunteers in this community. I'm seeking a seat on the school board as I think I could make a positive contribution to the board, and I feel it is a way to give back to the community. I feel I can do this through thoughtful and relatable leadership as I would work to engage parents, teachers, staff, and the community. I feel due to my experience, I will also be well positioned to work with the administration to ensure fiscal responsibility in our community. I hope this evening you will learn a little bit more about me, and I ask for your vote on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Eric, can we, if you guys could talk.
Yep,
more
I was just about to
directly
say
to the
that, John.
microphone.
Yeah.
We're picking up for the YouTube, but we're having a hard time
Yeah.
hearing you here, so if you can maybe
Yeah.
lean over even.
So that's
if you remember, that would be helpful.
Yeah. What we just got to notice is probably like if we can get 6 inches or so away from the mic, they're within to that. And then also just another prompting before we get into the questions themselves is just, as you know, Deb's a time prompter, and so it's paying attention to the right here with that. So Ed, we're going to start with you, sir. With Intuit, what are you the most proudest of about the school district and why?
So I'm going to lean in as best I can, but there's not a lot of slack here. So if you see me doing this, that's the best I can do. That is hands down easy for me to answer. It is the staff and the people that run the district and work in the district. As I mentioned before, I was blessed to work there for about 18 years. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the reason that Milton is special is the people that are in the community and the people that work in the district. There are some amazing souls in there that give and give and give and care about children. I've seen it firsthand. They were, just to give you an example, a staff member died, and we had, on more than one occasion, we had funeral services in the school. That's the type of family that everybody is. Everybody cares and lifts each other up. They're there for your child. They want the best for your child, and there really are some good souls. And I think it's the destination district. So without a shadow of a doubt, I would say it's the people that I'm most proud of.
Thank you. Tracy, same question to you. What are you the proudest of about the school district and why?
So I really do need to echo what Ed said, and I get a little passionate, a little emotional when it comes to this this topic. It's the staff and the impact they make on our children. So I moved here from the East Coast And when I was looking for a place to transplant to, I was recommended to the Milton School District. When you're coming from out of state and you don't know where you're going, you rely on friends to tell you where's the best place for your child. So having a child at that young age and moving to a new place, you rely on the folks around you, especially the teachers. When you have a child who needs special services as well, you look to those teachers even more to make your child who they are. Now, my son is now 14 years old, an active member in the community. He plays sports. He's got a ton of friends. And I really rely that on the school district and the people there. They care. They care about our kids. They care about their education, but they also care about their well-being. And being there as a board member to support their needs as well is kind of where I am right now, and just to make sure we do have the best staff for our children to keep them in the place where they need to be for their future. So I think the Milton School District should be very proud of the staff that they have, both at the teachers and the administration level. And that's what I'm most proud of in this district.
Thank you, Tracy. Second question, we'll start with you this term. What motivated you to run for the school board?
So I apologize to the folks in the back, and I'm going to kind of go off for 1 second. You sound really loud yourself talking into the mic, so if you can't hear me in the back, it's because I feel like I'd be screaming into the mic and echoing. So I'm just going to make that comment, so apologies if you can't hear us in the back. What motivated me to get more engaged in the school and to run for school board was to be more engaged. I'm a firm believer in parental engagement. I think the more parents have an influence on the education and engage in the district, the better the students do. I think their grades are better. I think their behavior is better. So as a parent, I started going to school board meetings. I started listening to what was going on in the district, how it impacted not only my family, but also my student. And then I decided that to serve the community and bring some of the talents that I have, both on the personal and professional life, I decided I was going to try to run for the school board.
Ed, same question for you. What motivated you to run for the school board?
First, I'm going to rebuttal Tracy just a little bit. She's right. It feels like you're screaming up here. So, as I mentioned before, the staff are amazing at the school district and anybody who works in the school district. And part of that is a need to serve. And I've always had a need to serve the education. It's my calling. It's what I do. It's what gets me out of the bed in the morning. It's my why. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do was walk away from the Milton School District and take a different position and try something new. It was hard spiritually, it was hard emotionally, it was hard professionally. But it was time for that new change for me. And enough time has gone by now where I think that I can help serve the school district in a different light. I can use the experiences that I've had now that I'm one of the older people, the gray beard. I can come out and help and contribute in a different way that I didn't before. So when someone suggested to me, like, hey, you might be really good at this, my first reaction was, of course, I'm not worthy. It's an honored position. But after a little bit of coaxing, a little bit of bravery, and swallowing a little bit of pride, I said, you know what, I think maybe I could help. So I'm here today just to throw my name in the hat, and God willing, if the public sees fit, I will serve and do my best for everybody.
Thank you, Ed. Next question is for you, sir. In your opinion, what are things done well by the current school board in the past few years?
That's a really good question. I think they're doing a better job of communication in the last few years, and I think they're also doing a really good job of working amongst themselves. A board is only as good as they are as a team. Everyone should be allowed their own opinion, but ultimately working together to try to find common ground and having good, productive conversation is super, super important. And I've seen evidence of that in the last few years. The referendum that's coming into pass here in the next few weeks is a really good case in point, case study is how they have worked well together, communicated well to the city, trying to make sure that they're helping everyone understand why they're asking for the referendum for the money. So I've been really pleased with that. The climate and the culture that's been there on the school board in the last few years.
Tracy, same question for you. I'll repeat it. In your opinion, what are things done well by the current school board in the past few years?
I think the thing to highlight from the past few years that the school board did was come out with the Portrait of a Red Hawk. I think that the pillars and the mission statement really make it clear to the public of what we're trying to do for our students and how we're trying to engage them and the different features that we're trying to target. So I think the way they work together to come up with that and to really communicate that to the public shows that they're really focused on our student achievement. And that's the thing I think that they've done the best in the past few years.
Thank you. Tracy, next question for you. What are two strengths of our school district, and why do you consider these strengths?
So I think the first strength of our school district is our staff. I think that's part of what draws people to the Milton School District is again, just reinforcing what I've said earlier, the caring, the education that they have, and the way that they can educate our children. I look back over the time of COVID, and I think one thing that I really was a positive, if anything was a positive, was how quickly the district could turn virtual. I know in a lot of other districts, they were not able to turn as fast, so the kids lost more time. Not to say that the learning loss that was achieved during virtual is not to be highlighted, but at least we had already had in our district the Schoology programs, at least at the age level that I was looking at, which was the North Side 4th to 6th grade, that they were easily able to turn within a few days and get our kids back learning again. So I would think the staff with their flexibility and their way to care, and as well as the technology that the school is really focused on, getting that in play to allow for non-traditional means when needed.
Ed, same question for you. What are two strengths of our school district, and why do you consider these strengths?
Well, I think it's going to be a recurring theme between Tracy and myself here is I'm going to highlight the staff is a lot here. The staff for the Milton School District, again, really cares about your students, and they're there early, they work late, they volunteer for time that they don't get paid, and ultimately they're there to make sure every student has that one person to lean on. They are amazing, and I'll stand behind them all day long. And second, I think part of the reason the staff is amazing is because they're coming from the community. The community of Milton is amazing, and they care about the school district. You don't have, it is the center of our world practically, and everybody talks about what's happening in the school district, and everybody cares. Everybody wants a good school district. The support for good things in the school district, you don't have to worry about from the community. They'll be there. It's just a matter of making sure people understand that it's a good thing. And once they do, they're behind it 100%. Milton's a special place, and if you've lived here, you know that. There's a reason we stay. There's a reason I moved away and came back when I was younger. And the school district's the same way. It's a very, very special place. So if I had to really hammer on two things, it'd be the staff and the community that I feel really, really most special about.
Thank you, Ed. I'm going to read a question from the audience. And the question is, the School District of Milton currently uses the same reading curriculum that the Madison schools just recently changed due to their belief that it was not working. What are your thoughts on the Milton's reading curriculum, and would you consider reviewing and going back to a phonics-based curriculum?
Awesome, great question. So first of all, I think that I would never base a curricular decision based upon what another school district is doing. I believe very firmly in looking at what's right for your school district. So, and I'm not saying anything negative against Madison. It's a great decision. But when a big change like that does happen, it is worth taking a step back and saying, are we good with where we're at? And we got some great curriculum leaders here in the school district. I would lean on them very heavily. I'm going to be very honest. My professional background is technology education, and I will answer questions on that all day long. But I will also defer to experts in the field when it comes time to make curricular decisions like a phonics decision to support them. My whole world, my whole time in the school district has been leaning on the experts and helping them pick the best tool and then helping them bring that to fruition. So I know we have a brand new, I'm excited that, I'm sad that Ryan Ruggles is leaving, but I'm excited that Julie Musgrove is coming in. So to answer the question, if I would make that change, I would have a healthy discussion with the the right stakeholders, the right people at the table before I would ever make that decision and have an informed decision. I am not a reading expert, so I would lean heavily on those that can help me make a good, healthy decision.
Thank you, Ed. Tracy, same question for you. School District Milton uses the same curriculum as Madison that has recently changed. Do they believe that they don't believe it's working? What are your thoughts on Milton's reading curriculum, and would you consider reviewing and going back to a phonics-based curriculum?
Well, again, back and forth with Ed and I kind of agree on that. My background is not in teaching. My background is in accounting. But what I can tell you is, again, also looking excited for Ms. Musgrove to come into the district, back into the district, actually. And there's nothing wrong with change. If you look at your district and your learning and your reading levels and you realize something's not working, it's having the courage to come forward and make that recommendation to make that change. Our students is who we're fighting for and who we're there to impress learning on. And if that learning is no longer working, it's having the courage to say so. So I look forward to being an ear to the experts, like Ed said, for them to be able to come forward and say, we don't think it's working. And then having the ability to give them what they need to make those changes and giving our staff the support and the learning opportunities to be able to implement those changes.
Tracy, next question for you. In what ways would you act as an ambassador and advocate for the school district and the community of Milton?
So volunteering is very important to me and very dear to my heart. I do a lot in the community. I'm actually on the middle school parents group. My husband volunteers a lot for the sports, the local sports and football and so on. And obviously where they go, I go. As well as I look forward to the high school events where I can volunteer and not only as a parent, but as a board member, be able to get into the community and hear what folks are saying and, you know, being available to lend an ear so that they can, you know, give their opinion, their ideas in a diplomatic fashion, I guess you would say. Just being able to communicate with folks. So just volunteering, getting out there, getting involved in the community. The more people see your face, the more they feel like you're a part of it. And that's how I think you can make a difference, whether you're a board member or not. Just volunteering in the community and getting out there where folks can interact with you.
Ed, same question for you. In what ways would you act as an ambassador and advocate for the school district in the community of Milton?
Again, echoing Tracy, we're going to be doing that, I think, a lot tonight. Having worked in the school district for as long as I did, I saw the importance of having school board members present and available. And so I would definitely try to model that. I'm heavy into volunteering. I love to help out wherever I can. If my phone rings and say, hey, could you be here for that? I'm glad they're going to come. I'm looking for opportunities to do that. I still volunteer at the high school whenever they have a large event and they need hands. So continuing to do that, but just having that FaceTime and being available so people can be come up to you and being approachable. I coached football for most of the years I was there, and let me tell you, the Saturday after a big loss, I got stopped at the Piggly Wiggly every day, asking me about how things were. And you take time and you talk to people, and being courteous and kind and respecting their opinions. So just, I think the biggest thing you can do is make yourself available wherever that time be. It's a small community. Taking time to learn people's first names and making sure that you kind of follow up on their concerns, but just most importantly, just being present when you're there, because at some level we're working for the district, so we have to contribute.
Thank you, Ed. I have another question from the audience. Ed, the summer school classes fill fast every year. How do you feel about extending this or other summer school classes?
So first of all, we have an amazing summer school program. Sarah Stuckey does an amazing job of pulling that off. So hats off to them. I was part of the technology team to help bring that to a digital world so that you could register online, which we thought was going to be amazing, and it is. But it also fills up those classes really fast. If you're not there pushing the button at 6 o'clock in the morning, you may not get your kid into a class. I think it's a fine balance. I would certainly entertain those discussions and see if there's more we can do, because I believe in opportunities for our students passionately, But we also have to balance that against our staff. Our staff need time to take a break. They need time to get their wings underneath them again. And I would talk to Ms. Stuckey about how she would feel about that and take her recommendation. In lieu of that, if we couldn't do that, possibly we could stand up some other summer opportunities that are maybe not summer school related. Just anytime you can put an opportunity in front of a student, I think that's a great thing. And it's surprising what kids are into and what they get excited over. So the bigger that buffet of choices is for them, the better. And I think if we couldn't find a way to extend those summer school classes, if we could find a way to tweak it and maybe do something else, maybe a fishing day or just throwing ideas out there, there might be less impact on the staff, is always good for our students. Anytime they're engaged, we all win.
Tracy, same question for you. The summer school classes fill fast every year. How do you feel about extending this or other summer classes?
I have to smile because I was one of those parents that was online really early the other morning, putting my son into the thing that I needed to put him into, and then having to reach out to Mrs. Stuckey first thing, say I can't do both, and so we got that cleared up. But I also was an ear to a friend who said at 6:02 the class she wanted for her daughter was Phil. 6:02 in the morning. So I completely can understand the frustration of the parents, but echoing what Ed said, at the end of the day, we still need somebody to teach them. It's no different than any other industry in this world right now. There is a worker shortage. Teachers, some of them don't want to work in the summer. They have other plans. They have other jobs. So I think it's maybe brainstorming with others to say, what other opportunities can we offer that may not rely solely on our staff? And similar to other things as well, as asking for volunteers from the community. So I know a lot of parents will use summer school to offset when they're working. But if there are some that can't, can we reach out to the community and say, hey, are you willing to, like someone like myself, not necessarily myself, but with my background, you know, do a budgeting class for 3 weeks for a high school, or someone like Ed doing an IT. Again, if you could make it work with your schedules, maybe brainstorming like that. But I do understand the frustration from both the parent and the school being limited based on, you know, having to have a staff there to, especially at the younger ages, making sure that our students are being not only educated on whatever subject it is, but also ensure that their safety is there. You can't have too many kids with only one educator.
Tracy, next question for you. What are the top 2 needs that must be priorities of our school district, and why do you see these as needs? So
the first need I'm going to focus on is the continued education and making up for the learning loss of our students. I still think there's room to grow. I think there's been progress made. Since we were virtual for that period of time, our students are making progress based on the last school board meeting. We're seeing some improvement and some growth, but I really do still think that there's room to grow there because not all of our grades were seeing that improvement. I also think teacher retention is the other large one. Unfortunately, again, referring back to the worker shortage in any industry that you see, if a educator can earn a better salary outside of the school district in private industry, we need to be able to retain that employee to determine why. What is it that we can do to retain our staff? Because long-term educators have a great impact on our students. They know them, they develop with them, they see them, they trust them. And if we lose them and have lots of turnover, just like any other industry, we don't have the success, as much as a success as we could. So I think it's student education and teacher retention.
Ed, same question for you. What are the top 2 needs that must be priorities of our school district, and why do you see these as needs?
That's a great question, and the needs of the school district are many. I would focus on right now what I would call a post-COVID normalcy. As Tracy alluded to, there has been some educational loss, and what does life look like now that we've coming back into the classroom on a more permanent basis, and for our students and for our staff. It was a hard experience for everybody, but how can we get things kind of back to the new normal, if you will, making sure that we take care of our staff and retain them, and making sure that we help our students in any education that might have been lost during that time frame. So to me, I think that's probably a high priority right now. The next one would be sustainability, and that's a really broad umbrella in an educational world. Again, taking care of that staff and financially creating stability within the school district is majorly important. We want a place where it's always going to be consistent experience for our students, where they can have these great opportunities, and it's hard to offer those opportunities every year if budgeting is a problem, if busing is a problem. So creating a world where sustainability is a little bit more something we can lean on, especially post-COVID, I think is two things I would really, really harp on and really try to work for. I'm a big person who believes in not just building something for today, but also how is it going to work next year and the year after and 5 years after that.
Thank you. I have another question from the audience. We got a very active audience. This is great. The school referendum is on the docket for the Milton voters. Your thoughts on this, on the excess fund need, and would you care to share how you will vote?
I will vote in favor of the referendum, absolutely. I could spend way more than 2 minutes on this topic, so I'm going to try to do it justice in 2 minutes, friends. At the end of the day, schools are unfunded or underfunded, and this is nothing new, and this goes back to 2010 Act 10. I don't have time to do the entire history lesson, but the proof of that is the fact if you study the governor's budget right now, today, as it stands, the funding that we need for our school districts is in that budget right now. Over $1 billion for special education. And everybody in this room knows it's going to get sniped. It's not going to make it to our pockets. It's going to get taken away from us. But the governor knows that it's needed. He was the former state superintendent. We are underfunded, and we need this. And the other thing I want to point out is that we're simply asking the community if they would be in support of this. We are not saying that it has to happen. I have my opinion, but a referendum is an ask. And it's all about telling the story and saying, here's why we think we need it. Here's our case. We present it to the public, and ultimately the public decides. If there's no appetite for that, that's how the public decided we have to move in a different direction. So I'm a big fan of the democratic process, and let's just see how the public decides and what they want. But also I want to compliment the board on the way that they brought this forward, as opposed to past referendums, and trying to do the best they can to educate the community as to, like, here's where we think we are and here's what we need. What do you think, public? Do you want to get behind us, or do we have to do something different? So thank you.
Tracy, same question for you. School referendum is on the docket for the Milton voters. Your thoughts on the excess fund need, and would you care to share how you will vote?
So there's 3 pools of people that are going to vote on this referendum. There's the ones that will never vote for it. There's ones that will always vote for it. And then there's that group of people in the middle that might vote for it, that might not vote for it. So you have your folks on fixed income who will struggle with this. I have neighbors that are in their 90s. They're on a fixed income. Their kids are long grown, out of state. They might have a struggle with it because their taxes could go up. Mine just went up $80 a month. So I can understand their pain. I understand the people that will always vote for it. Those, who have a vested interest, who have multiple kids or a child in the school district, they see that value. What the vote's asking is whether the taxpayers, like Ed said, do you feel it's important? Or do you feel that you support it and giving the board the authority? It doesn't necessarily mean the board has to act on that authority. So what I will promise is that I will look at all the information that's provided. I do have a financial background. I've been through multiple budget cycles. I understand how to create. I understand how to operate under a budget. I will look at all the variables, the legislature, what happens with the governor's budget when the legislature rules this summer, what that means. There was a portion that was built into the expectation, to the estimates that were done by the district. But if that's more, if that's less, that has an impact. I will be a fiscal steward to the community as a school board member because I want to make sure that we remain competitive for our students. I've been to Sun Prairie. I've been to some of these massive schools where the community funding is off the charts. Milton doesn't need to get there, but I want to make sure we don't lose the opportunities for our students either. So it's that fine balance between serving the community and serving the school district and ensuring that we find the median where we can provide the excellence that we need to our students without pricing our seniors and folks on fixed incomes out of their homes.
This will be the last question for the evening for the both of you, and then we'll lead into closing statements. Tracy, for you, what do you believe are the most challenging responsibilities a school board will face in the next 3 years, and how do you intend to address these issues?
Did you say 3? 3, okay. Sorry, I was just making sure. So I think they're all kind of rolled into one. So the big one we're going to face, obviously, is funding. So is understanding what's going to happen with inflation. Nobody can predict the markets on a daily basis. It feels as though something else is changing. It gets good, it gets bad. So it's, like Ed said, it's finding the way that you can sustain that without having ups and downs and ups and downs. Again, working under many budgetary cycles, it's ensuring that you don't want your folks, your shareholders, which are your students and your teachers, seeing things go up, down, up, down, up, down. Trying to find the consistency. I think the struggle, again, the struggle is going to be in the financial markets where we're looking to say what's going to happen. I think enrollment is a big struggle we're going to face. I think we need to ensure that we're giving all the opportunities to try to bring the enrollment into the district. And I think the retention of our teachers, because you asked about the 3 most important things that we're going to face, correct? I kind of went.
Just to clarify,
Yes.
is the most challenging responsibilities that we'll face in the next 3 years.
The next 3 years. And I think, yes, so I think the question kind of relates to itself. So I think that the next 3 years is going to be our teacher retention. I think that's not going away. Wages are going up and we need to be able to compete. With that comes the financial burden to the district to ensure that we can support that financially, as well as being able to change technologically. Technology changes at the drop of a hat. That's not cheap. It's not cheap to turn. It's not cheap to go back and redo. So it's making sure that we are sustaining not only our fixed assets, but our non-fixed assets, our teachers and our staff, giving our students the opportunity, and then ensuring that we're fiscally responsible.
Ed, same question for you. What do you believe are the most challenging responsibilities the school board will face in the next 3 years, and how do you intend to address these issues?
So again, the school board is going to face many challenges in 3 years. On the radar right now, I think again I'm going to put it under the umbrella of sustainability, retaining those great teachers, bringing in the right teachers, the new young teachers, making sure that they come in and they want to stay here, creating a fun balance that is healthy, and making sure that we can sustain all of the things that we want to do. At the same time, creating opportunities for our students. I was amazed at my time in the school about what students get excited about, what engages them, what unlocks them, and that comes from these opportunities that are presented to them. Not every student is a football or basketball player. Some people like chess club, and making sure that those things exist for our students, and we have those, so those other students have a place to be. And I'm going to go a little off beaten path on the third one because this is my home world. Cybersecurity. It may not mean anything to any of you, but K-12s are the top 5 targets in the state of Wisconsin. Across the country. And it's a world that's near and dear in my heart. It's a world that I have sat with school districts when they have been broken and helped put them back together. And it's real. And it's a thing that when you talk about the next 3 years, it's something I want to make sure that as a board we help lead that, and we make sure hopefully it doesn't happen to us, but definitely the saying of it can't happen here is not true. It's a question of when, if not when, or when, not if. And I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but honestly, it's part of my profession, and I can tell you it's real. So from my lens, I will use my expertise to help with that.
We're going to lead into closing statements. Ed, if you could please give your closing statement for the night.
Well, again, I want to close by just thanking everybody who's watching at home, and everybody that showed up here in person, and Tracy for being here. I'm just someone who simply cares about the School District of Milton. I've bled red, white, and black for my entire life. I went to high school there in 1985, and I was blessed to come back and work there in about 2001, I think it was. And I ultimately just care. And I'd like the opportunity to try and help out. and see if the things that I've done in my life can pay it forward. And if that's something that there is no appetite for from the community, I'm good with that too. I'll be comfortable with that. But ultimately, I just appreciate the honor, and I would respect the honor if elected, and be very happy to serve and do whatever I can do, and hopefully maybe listen to some of you at the Piggly Wiggly in aisle 4. So.
Tracy, same for you. Would you please give us your closing statement for the night?
I'd like to thank all that came, that are watching, the chamber for being flexible. The snow didn't help that much, or it helped a little bit for me because I wasn't able to come last week, so appreciate the flexibility. I just hope that I can ask for your vote on April 4th. Really just want to serve and give back to the community. The district means a lot. It's done a lot for my student. It's done a lot to get me some really good friends that I wouldn't have had prior to that. I really want to use the background that I have in industry to bring a little bit different, twist to the board that may not be currently there. I've had some experiences, traveled around the world a little bit, just seen a few different things, and I think that I could be an asset to the board, and look forward to hopefully having some really plentiful conversations with my colleagues there. So I thank you all for your time, for your ear, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you to both of you. All right, we're going to transition into the next segment with the city council. We're going to just take a quick minute to change out the name tags, and then we'll do introductions to the next group.
So it's
So we are going to start the next session for the city council. If I could ask everybody to finish up your conversations and please take seats. All right, can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me? If I could ask everybody to please take seats, we're going to get our next session going. I think particularly I got to get Mark Warren to dial him in because I know he's going to talk with everybody in the room here. If you can just, analyze the troublemaker, then you can get things in order here. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so we're going to start the next session with the city council. We have one member that will be, one individual that will be right with us here in a second. I'm going to take this as an opportunity as we do have one individual that was unfortunately unable to make it tonight as we try to get everybody's schedules aligned, and that's sometimes typically hard on a particular night. And one of the individuals running for the city council is Charla Walker. And I have a statement, introduction statement that I'll read on her behalf. And then from there, then I'll introduce the other candidates and we'll get to the forum with them. So my name is Charla Walker, and I'm grateful the chamber and others are able to express some of my thoughts as I had a previous obligation that conflicted with tonight's rescheduled forum. I'm so disappointed to not be present. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you why I'm running for city council and why I will be a great council person. Before moving to Milton and opening our businesses 3 years ago, I had a long-time career in the financial industry for decades, helping my community achieve financial security. Some of the ways we did this was by helping create budgets through financial counseling, creating plans for debt consolidation, and finding financial freedom. I loved making a difference in people's lives and being a financial education resource for them. With a desire to live our best lives, Dave and I decided to take a leap of faith and open the coffee shop I've always dreamed, which is to live in a small town, create a community, and provide a high standard of customer service with an amazing product. In Milton, we found all this and more. When serving on the Planning Commission, volunteering at the voting polls, crafting and creating events for the Youth Coalition, serving on the board at Northside and other various committees, I have the opportunity to help out not only preserve the Milton today, but the future of Milton for our children and grandchildren to enjoy. In my corporate past, I have had an amazing opportunity to be part of training events that have allowed me to hone my curious nature to ask the important, difficult questions and have the ability to listen to people when they speak. If elected, I promise to continue to help find ways to give our teens a voice and connect them with their community. Persist in a fostering and supportive mindset to the small business culture in Milton, and bring the right people to the table. Research each issue until I'm an expert in the subject and be transparent with information. Thank you, and good luck to my fellow candidates.
Derek, can I interrupt for 1 second? I'm getting texts from people listening out in the community. They are having
Thank you, John. And just making sure as I'm trying to project more and sound off more, my old military voice, am I doing better now, being more intentional? Very good. So as you all can within to that, be great. I'm going to now proceed to come up and we'll do the quick dice roll to see who will start first with the first question. So the candidates that we have up on here, if I'll do a quick introduction. We have Nancy Lauder, Bill Wilson, and Teresa Rush. Teresa has won the dice roll. Congratulations. And she will have our first question of the evening. Within to that, I do want to give you a reminder that to stay close to the mic is, as you have heard earlier, as well as a reminder that Deb next to me is going to be your time prompter, and just pay as special attention as you can with that. So Tracy, we will start first with you with opening. If you could please give us your opening introduction.
As noted, my name is Teresa Rush. I have lived in Milton all of my life, all 39 years. Actually 66 years. I had worked for the School District of Milton for 35 years. I taught for about half that time and then became a elementary principal for the last half. I had lots of opportunity to learn a great deal about dealing with many administrative tasks. And during my last year as a superintendent, I was asked to fill in for a position on the city council because one of the people on city council had been elected as mayor. So I took that opportunity and found that I enjoyed it. So I've been here for 10 years now and continue to enjoy it for many, many reasons. And I look forward to being able to continue that by being elected again. So thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Bill, if you could please give us your opening introduction statement.
Sure. My name is Bill Wilson. I've lived in Wisconsin for 45 years. My wife and I have lived in Milton for almost 25. By profession, I'm a librarian. I worked in libraries in a number of places in the state of Wisconsin. And in 1987, we started a small business working as consultants with libraries and worked with libraries across the country. Soon after arriving in Milton, I was recruited to join the Milton Public Library Board. My license plate said library, and the then head of the water department, John Berg, saw library on my license plate, and when he came to change out my water meter, said, "Boy, have I got a job for you." So within probably the first 6 months of being in town, I ended up on the library board. I semi-retired in 2017, and at that time I started to consider whether there are ways that I could contribute a little bit more to the community. And I did that, ran for the city council a couple of terms ago, was elected and then was re-elected. So I've been on the city council now for about 4 years. I've served on a variety of city commissions and committees, Community Development Authority, I've been the chair of the Public Works Committee. I also serve on the Rock County Board as Rock County Supervisor, and there have been on a number of committees working on issues ranging from broadband to housing. I'm proud of my 4 years of service on the Milton Council, and most proud of that talented staff that we work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Nancy, could you please give your opening introduction?
Thank you. Yes, I moved to Milton, Wisconsin 40-some years ago and had 3 children go through the Milton school system, which is quite wonderful, but that's, they're now California residents, so that's too bad. The in living in Milton over the years, with the changes in how factories were working, I have been through 8 plant closings, so that I have recognized that you have to understand where the money's coming from and going to. We did buy apartments. We had quite a few, and we have since sold them, which I'm very sorry because I lost my connection to the community. Because Dog and I would walk by the apartments every night to see if there was a squad car out front or anything interesting was happening. But I really am truly interested in the future of Milton because it is a wonderful, congenial town. What I see is that there are some very big and expensive changes in the works. Developing a new fire department has huge sticker shock, and the new buildings that the school is looking at has another huge sticker shock. So I am very concerned that the taxpayers are informed as to what like a $150,000 house tax will be with these different changes ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. We're going to proceed into the questions of the night. And as we stated earlier, we're going to start with Teresa, and then we'll start rotating in a clockwise manner. So Nancy will be next after that. Teresa, what are you the proudest of about the city of Milton, and why?
When I started on the city council was shortly after Highway 26 was built, and there was a great deal of dismay and frustration because the exit into the city really had nothing as part of it, and there was a lot of upset people that owned businesses and were frustrated. And we talked about how we could develop the community as a destination where people could come to the community. And in those 10 years, we have, I believe, done a wonderful job of doing just that. People want to come to Milton. The changes that have been made have been terrific. And I think that our work is not done. We are continuing to do that. We have not only changed that, we will continue to work on many different things. There are lots of things that are in progress right now, and we should all be commended for that. Whether you're working in the school systems, you're doing businesses, you're a citizen taking part in all of those and utilizing those businesses or the school systems, I think it's terrific. So.
Thank you, Teresa. Nancy, same question for you. What are you the proudest of about the city of Milton, and why?
What I'm proud of is that they have retained a small community closeness along with getting their business development going for the for our new factories that are appearing and giving people the money to live comfortably in Milton. So I'm very proud of how this is developing and look forward to helping it. We did a lot of work when the library was being rebuilt, and that has turned into a very community focal point. I am looking to keep developing the community focal points to make Milton so attractive to people to come to.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, same question for you, sir.
Yes.
What are you the most proudest of about the city of Milton, and why?
I'm going to start in a funny place. As a librarian, when I look at memes on Facebook and on the internet, I know that a lot of times things say so-and-so said it. One thing that Winston Churchill supposedly said when they were talking about cutting the arts to fund the war, he said, well, then what would we be fighting for? Now, Winston Churchill never really said that, but what we're fighting for is the Milton way of life and the quality of life that we have here in Milton. We've got some real financial challenges that I hope the forum will allow us to get into here. But we've done a lot with what we have available to us to preserve that Milton way of life and that quality of life that I think we all treasure.
Thank you, Bill. Next question is for Nancy. Nancy, what motivated you to run or rerun for the city council?
As I was saying, I'm very concerned with the two huge expenses that are looming very close to us. The fire department will be expensive, and the new school referendum will be expensive. I want to keep the citizens informed as to where this is going. I want to be sure that they understand that the people on fixed incomes are getting, that people on the fixed income, thank you, people on fixed incomes will see these costs rising and should know ahead of time what they want to do about that. Sorry.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, same question to you. What motivated you to run for the city council?
I think my decision to seek re-election to the city council was based on the wonderful experience that I've had in the first 4 years serving on the city council. I think we're pretty unusual in Milton that our council and our staff have worked together as a single team. I think we see a lot in Washington and a lot in Madison where there are two teams. There's a blue team and a red team, or teams that disagree with each other. Here, I think we've been working together as a single team. And because of that, we've been able to accomplish some things that are really extraordinary in terms of economic development, preservation of our quality of life services.
Thank you, Bill. Teresa, same question for you. What motivated you to run or rerun for city council?
I believe that the projects that have been started are still in motion, and I'd like to still be a part of those as they come to fruition over the next few years. We had started things like working with the library, and while that, and Bill was a terrific part of remodeling that and bringing it to where it is today. And as part of that, they have developed some terrific programs and working and bringing in students and parents, people, adults throughout the community, to be a part of book clubs, authors, photo labs, and different things that motivate people to be a part of that as a community. We also have parks. If you look at all the parks in the community, they have been redone, revamped, and welcome people to be a part of that. We also have done a terrific amount of work in the industrial park that has, in talking about how that has changed the community. When I became a part of the council, in 30 seconds, when I became a part of the council 10 years ago, the debt ratio was 82%, and currently it's down to 36%. And that has been able to accommodate that, and what that's done to all of us, we should be pounding the table. There you go.
Thank you, Teresa. Bill, next question for you, sir. What is unique about you or your experience that adds value to the city council, and why is that important?
I guess I'll start with the obvious one. I'm the old guy on the council. And you know, I say that kind of flippantly, but at the same time, I think that there is some experience there that probably is worthwhile. Professionally and professional career that my wife and I had in consulting, we worked with governments throughout the U.S. We worked in 46 states and did you know, well over 500 projects. We worked with municipalities, we worked with counties. I think I bring a pretty good understanding both of the finances and the operations of government. At the same time, putting on the former librarian, library director hat, I understand the difference of the roles between a governing body and the workers. And consequently, I think as a city council member, I understand the policy setting role that the council has versus the operational, getting your fingers into the actual way that things are carried out. It's more setting directions. So I think I bring some experiences that are valuable to the council.
Thank you, Bill. Teresa, same question for you. What is unique about you or your experience that adds value to the city council, and why is that important?
I believe that having worked with the school district and the philosophy within a school district, it has taught me how to work within a governmental system and the budgeting system that a school district works with, and being able to apply that again to a community. And many steps that are taken in the budgeting system are applicable to the city government. It has helped me also understand strategic planning better. It has helped me understand the need to plan everything about working within the budgeting system and applying then the planning to meet those budgeting needs, and working consistently year after year, putting those together.
Thank you, Teresa. Nancy, same question for you. What is unique about you or your experience that adds value to the city council, and why is that important?
Well, one of the things about growing old is then you go to the gathering place. Oh, it's on.
If you could talk a little bit closer to that, Nancy.
We'll try. One of the unique things about growing old is the gathering place has taken a lot of community spirit, because when I moved here, what impressed me is that there's a homecoming parade, and they'd bring all the kids out and line them up on the street, and the parade would go by, and you all were rah, rah, Milton. Well, now that we're getting a little more mature, we love to go to the concerts, which had sort of drifted around from pillar to post and now have a home at the gathering place. And it is a community development for old folks as well as for those wonderful little kids that sit on the sidewalk. And I would like to continue to find unique ways of making Milton draw people in.
Thank you, Nancy. Teresa, next question for you. If you were talking about Milton to a potential new business owner, what would be your 2-minute elevator pitch?
That it's the best place they could possibly go, but that it really is, as I said before, a destination, that it's a community welcoming them. Some of it would depend on what type of business it is in what I would say, but that it, if it was something that's more industrial, that we have great opportunities for TIF agreements so that we could support them as they build their business and get it off to a great start. If they're working within more of a city plan, they would have some of that as well, but we would also have community support in working together. That it really just is a wonderful place in a small town atmosphere.
Thank you, Teresa. Nancy, same question for you. If you were talking about Milton to a potential new business owner, what would be your 2-minute elevator pitch?
Without knowing what industry that they are promoting, I would probably promote the fact that this is the cleanest, tidiest, nicest town to live in. They have big trash pickup. They have wonderful snow. They actually plow our street. It's a dead-end street. It has. It is oriented towards people. If your light goes out, you phone up Power and Light or phone up the City Hall, and they fix it within a day. This is something you don't find, and it universally crosses all different businesses, just to have people come and respond and help you.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, question for you. If you were talking about Milton to a potential new business owner, what would be your 2-minute elevator pitch?
My first sentence would be, this is a place where you can succeed. And I think my next step would be to invite them to come with me to talk to some people who've already succeeded. And I think we've got plenty of examples of that. We've got examples of that in the retail sector. We've got examples of that in other commercial sectors. We've got examples of that in the industrial sector. So I think stressing the fact that this is a community that wants business to succeed.
Thank you, Bill. Nancy, this next question is for you. What do you believe is the 2 largest challenges facing the city of Milton in the next 2 years? And what would you do to address them?
Well, as I have stated, I am hugely concerned about the dramatic rise in taxes that's coming our way. I want to be sure that the community has financial information about how big that tidal wave is that is coming. And I must agree, it's not a topic that I'm happy to hear about, but it is very, very important that it be shared ahead of time. I am very concerned with the oncoming tax problems that are, you cannot build a new fire department and have a school referendum at the same time without noticing pain. So that is where I am concerned to keep people aware of what's coming.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, same question for you. What do you believe is the 2 largest challenges facing the city of Milton in the next 2 years, and what would you do to address them?
I think one that is sort of unspoken is the fact that our state shared revenue system is broken. There are tremendous constraints placed on the city in terms of how that system works. And just to give you an example, in 2007, shared revenue to municipalities was $721.9 million. In 2017, it was $667 million, so it had dropped. In 2023, it was $630 million. So over this period of time, the amount of money that's being shared from the state with municipalities has dropped. At the same time, there are very, very definite tax constraints over dollars that can be raised locally. One of the things we need to deal with very quickly is that right now the state has $7 billion with a B, $7 billion surplus. Some of that money is our money. Some of that money came from Milton, and we need to capture some of that and get it back. The other one is, I think, related to one of the things that Nancy mentioned. That's the fire district, our new Lakeside Fire and Rescue District that's made up of the consolidated fire departments. There are some challenges that exist there, but I think there are challenges that we're ready and willing to take on. It's important now that that consolidation has taken place to make sure that that consolidation works. It's working very, very well in its first, month plus.
Thank you, Bill. Teresa, same question for you. What do you believe is the two largest challenges facing the city of Milton in the next 2 years, and what will you do to address them?
Now, I think, as been brought up before, looking at the state level as well as the local level and helping to help people understand what those issues are. It's not as easy as to say it's just going to cost us too much money to do anything. Helping understand what is affecting those costs and how we can work together at a local level to ensure that what we need is done, and what we can do in working with the state level to ensure that it's beginning to deal with those things that were taken away from the local level and work back to what we need from the state level.
Thank you, Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, this next question is for you, sir. What is your opinion on the city financially supporting local nonprofits such as the Gathering Place, the Milton House, etc., and why?
Don't know whether everyone is aware, but there is a very small portion of the city budget that does go to support several nonprofit entities in the community. I believe the number is 4 at this point that receive some support, and support in the nature of roughly $10,000 per year. I've been supportive of that, and I know it can be somewhat controversial. One of them's been brought up, the Gathering Place, as one of the recipients of one of those small amounts of money. Many communities have a senior center that is tax supported. We don't. We have a senior center that came as a wonderful gift from a woman by the name of Marion Allen, who provided this community with an enduring gift. However, that organization is self-supporting and has very little in the way of tax dollars available to it. That is part of the quality of life that I was talking about. Milton House, the same way. One of the entities in town that attracts people to our community and makes our community richer and makes our community what it is.
Thank you, Bill. Teresa, same question for you. What is your opinion on the city financially supporting local nonprofits such as the Gathering Place, the Milton House, etc., and why?
And I would answer it much the same way. The city council has been very, very careful about supporting nonprofits. We review them very carefully when we have a request from any group to support them. If we find that it really does ultimately have a high need and it has a high opportunity to benefit the community in return, that we can have a strong chance to earn that money back by giving it, that we do ultimately give that money to them. If it's just a gift, that's different, and we try to stay away from that. So by giving just 3 or 4 of them in an annual basis, we find that it really is a useful tool for the community.
Thank you, Teresa. Nancy, same question for you. What is your opinion of the city financially supporting local nonprofits such as the Gathering Place, the Milton House, etc., and why?
The amount that the city does give to all of these worthy part of the fabric of Milton things brings diversity to Milton, and the amount that is donated is not breathtaking. So it is more of a gesture of goodwill that this is part of the Milton community. It's just a small part, but it is the goodwill of everybody working together with the different organizations.
Thank you, Nancy. This time flew by quick. We are actually getting out to our last question of the evening before closing statements with Intuit. This is going to Teresa. What do you envision the city of Milton looking like 10 years from now? What seeds can you plant now to positively impact that vision?
I think trying to continue to make very cost-worthy decisions that, when, as I said, when we started, we needed to make, there was a great debt started, and we needed to make some decisions that we didn't want to make at that time. We needed to rebuild our debt ratio for the city and make some decisions to cut back on anything that we spent over the next 10 years. Anything that we proposed, we had to stop and think about it. We couldn't borrow money. And we need to be able to leave the city council in very clean order for the next 10 years. There may be a decision we have to make, but we don't need to leave it like we found it.
Thank you, Teresa. Nancy, same question to you. What do you envision the city of Milton looking like in 10 years? And what seeds can you plant now to positively impact that vision?
I'm very, very, very much in favor of the industrial park developments, and there always is chatter about enlarging. I'm very interested in keeping up with the chatter because I would hope that a formed plan will come in the next 10 years on how to expand more employment opportunities in Milton. That's just one of the things that Milton can benefit from. What I see is that Milton chooses to work together. It chooses to help the Milton House, the Milton Historical Society, and the Gathering Place to be a community. That's what I see. That's what I'm hoping that Milton moves forward with, is developing the community.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, question to you. What do you envision the city of Milton looking like 10 years from now? And what seeds can you plant now to positively impact that vision?
I think it's a combination between planting new seeds and watering some of the growth that we've already got. We've got a lot of new startups. One of the concerns that I've got is, at what point do some of those businesses change over? 10 years from now, what might be in one of those locations that is there already? We have a situation where the only way that we really make any advances is by something that's called net new construction. And that net new construction is the kind of thing that we're seeing with the CQC plant and some of the other development that may be coming here. We're supporting our quality of life through that expansion of industry and commercial. We need to continue to do that because otherwise the residential taxes become unaffordable for the very people that Nancy was talking about. So that commercial and industrial development helps us keep Milton affordable and helps us maintain quality of life at the same time.
Thank you, Bill. We'll now proceed to the closing statements. Nancy, we'll have you start off with closing statements. If you could please give yours for the night.
Thank you. I would like to continue to serve the citizens of Milton on City Council. I do focus on the fact that our taxes will be changing and we should keep the people, the taxpayers, informed as to how much the changes will amount to. And I'm focused on having that shared more broadly. But the fact that Milton works together, great place. As I say, one of my very favorite is to watch the homecoming parade with all the kids sitting there watching Milton have a homecoming spirit. And I grew up in the city of Boston and they didn't have that. So I am enjoying it so much. I look forward to continuing to help that.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, could we please get your closing statement for the night?
Yeah, as I indicated at the beginning, I'm proud of my 4 years on the city council. Working with that talented staff, with talented council members. In that time, we've managed to reduce the debt burden, as Teresa has pointed out. Not just reduce it, but reduce it a lot. From a point where it was unaffordable and where we were putting on our credit card things that weren't going to last as long as the payments lasted. We've exercised that restraint and we've been able to bring that down. Final thing that I want to mention is the recent consolidation of the Milton Township Fire Department into the Adjourn Fire District, now known as Lakeside Fire and Rescue. That consolidation was very, very difficult. It took several years in the making, but it was a necessary decision. In terms of dollars and cents, we looked at three models. We looked at a model of a continued Milton Township Fire Department with full-time staff. We looked at a merger with Janesville. We looked at the merger with Edgerton, or the consolidation with Edgerton. Of those three, the one that provided the best coverage and best service and fire protection EMS service for our community was the direction that we went. It wasn't a step that we took lightly. I went back and kind of looked at my calendar, and I figure I attended something around 30 meetings about that fire district. It was a very difficult decision, but I believe it was the right decision and a decision that will serve us well for many years to come.
Thank you, Bill. And Teresa, could you please give your closing statement for the night?
I think that having grown up in this community, I too have seen many changes in the Milton Fire Department. I have watched changes from watching the fire building being on Crandall Street and needing to change the fire department at that time to build a brand new fire station on Madison Avenue because we had grown out of it and needed to start building a larger place that could hold more fire trucks and work with more people. So we consolidated the Milton Township areas and even the town of Milton. We were just Milton Junction at the time. And now we are doing that again. And we're growing, we're facilitating the growth of the area and growing and consolidating with Edgerton. And there was a lot of frustration and anger 50 years ago, and there's frustration and anger now, but we're moving forward, and that's what we need to do. So, thank you.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you all for joining us tonight. Cheers. We will take a quick recess as we reset the podium. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get going with the last segment of the evening, the forum for the mayors with into it. So if I could ask you, please finish up your conversations and please have seats. All right. Very good. How are you? All right, we're going to get things started with this, with the mayor portion of the forum tonight. May I introduce Anissa Welch as well as Tom Chesmore. And I'm going to come up, I don't know if you guys were here earlier, but we're going to start off with determining who gets the first question with a nice casual dice roll.
Nothing like to roll for the high numbers.
Okay, so we're going to start. Anissa had received the high roll. She will get the first question. And we'll start with her with the opening introduction.
Good evening. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting us tonight. And I want to thank all of you for sticking around. I know you sat through a few candidate forums this evening. My name is Anissa Welch. I'm the mayor of the city of Milton. In 2011, I was just a regular person working for the county. And the community members had asked me to run for city council. That wasn't in my plan, and there was one particular community member that was quite persistent and relentless, and I caved, and I ran. And I knew county government, but I certainly didn't know city municipal government. And I got elected, and I promptly wondered what the heck I had done. So I scheduled myself for some trainings and began learning the municipal government process. And I was on council for 2 years. After my second term, again, the community had asked me if I would consider running for mayor, and I was not considering that. They chose me again and asked again, and I agreed to do it. After quite a bit of hesitation, because at that time my dad was dying of cancer, and I really didn't want to give up being on his caregiving team, and I didn't want to give up a lot of the time I had with him. He, of course, said, absolutely, run for mayor. Why would you ever let cancer get in your way? And I did, and I won. And the morning after I won, I got up and I promptly threw up and wondered what the heck had I done again. But what I did over the years was learn and grow and help the city modernize and progress and develop a plan for sustainability. And we have done well, and we have met the moment, and we have met challenges. And I want to continue to guide the city through the future processes.
Thank you, Nisa. Tom, your opening introduction.
My name is Tom Chesmore. I served 2 terms as mayor before being defeated by Brett Frazier. Since I announced my candidacy, people have asked me, why are you running for mayor? Because they knew how much fun it was for me the last time. We're in a tough time right now in the world right now. Being mayor requires tough decisions. I have made those tough decisions before. And I have proven results. During my time as mayor, we saved the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in several ways. There's been some good decisions made in recent years. There's also been some bad ones. The city's population has only grown 3% in the last 10 years, yet we tax and spend 25% more than we did in 2012. In 2016, Mayor Welch and the council put through one of the highest wheel taxes that city residents were also faced with a school district referendum. The decisions coupled with the fire department agreement that gave away all of our department equipment, the city of Milton taxpayers paid for it, entering into the city agreement where the taxpayer investments are given away, pending future expenses to run the organization, stand to cost the taxpayers millions of dollars. Should cause all of us great concern. For me, my great concern is that I put my name on the ballot, and I promise all of you we will do better once and for all of you and your tax dollars, and provide what is needed to run this city. Being mayor is a challenge. Milton and its taxpayers deserve more fiscal responsibility, accountability, and now, as a retired, lifelong resident and property owner, I am up to that challenge, and I'm hopeful for your vote when this is all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. First question this evening will go to Anissa. Anissa, what are you the most proud of about the city of Milton, and why?
I'm the most proud of our community and the way the community comes together, how they work together, how they collaborate, how they tackle tough challenges. And when they are called to serve, they show up. When I took over as mayor, and this has been said before, we had an 84% debt ratio. We had very high taxes. We didn't have a up-to-date comprehensive plan. We didn't have a modernized strategic plan. And the community stepped up and they volunteered and they created the vision for the community that they wanted. They also changed their charter ordinance. And what they did was they changed the job duties, the focus, and the responsibility of the city administrator to be one of a primary focus of economic development. It was a mandate. It was a mandate that the city had the thoughtful vision to create, because prior to that, the 5 years prior to that, we had 5 years in a row of our equalized value decreasing. We didn't have businesses coming and we didn't have residents coming. And that was the analysis of the consultants that came before me and the plan that was left for me to try and implement to stabilize the city, to increase our economic development, and to create a city that was resilient and growing and offered a quality of life that would draw people to live here. Right now we have 3 residential developments in the process and we are growing. We don't want to grow too fast. Our growth has to be sustainable and it has to be thoughtful. I am proud of how the city continues to embrace our founding fathers' culture of progress, of courage, of strength, of hope, and lifting each other up and not trying to tear each other down and tear the city down. Thank you.
Thank you, Anissa. Tom, same question for you. What are you the proudest of about the city of Milton, and why?
Well, I've been a city of Milton resident since the early 60s when my mother and dad moved here. I've always been so proud of the people of this city. They have always stepped up, no matter what. And if one person in the community is suffering, everyone else steps up to help them. It was always something that, I was taught as a kid. My mother and dad taught us kids to care about other people. But to see it community-wide is an amazing thing. I understand, the taxing and everything else. After I was voted out as mayor, my predecessor decided to borrow $3.5 million. That definitely did not help the city's bottom line. I would have never done it. I think it was done on a whim, politically, for him, but it did hurt the city, and it hurt the city's people because he had to increase the taxes. That's it. I'm done.
Thanks, Tom. The next question is for you, Tom, and you referred to it earlier. What motivated you? What inspired you to rerun for mayor?
Well, when you have people calling you on the phone, stopping over and you're sitting in your driveway to come out and talk to them. I had a lot of contacts in the community that said, "Hey, you need to do this again." After me begging my wife to let me do this again because you know how fun it was before, I decided to run. And the more I dig, the more I talk to people, the more concerned I get. Milton right now is strong as ever. Some of the things that previous administrations, well, administrations that came after mine, they've been able to capitalize. My administration, we fixed infrastructure. We did the DPW building. We did this building, which was, they offered for $900,000. We gave them $300,000. The land where we're building all of this industrial progress out here, that was purchased when I was mayor. So everybody's had the building blocks laid in place before them, so they could, you know, they could move the city forward. That's all.
Thank you, Tom. Anissa, what motivated you to rerun for mayor?
Well, I actually really love local government. I love democracy. I love creating and co-creating and partnering with the city and the community to have a vision and implement that vision, and to problem solve and to accept challenges and to do hard things, right? I love it. The city has so much to be proud of. It's something that I enjoy doing. And I also want to be here to guide some of the projects that we've started. And we've talked a lot about the fire and EMS consolidation, and that is a significant change. I want to be here to guide that change process. It is difficult, it's emotional, it's complicated. It's been an ongoing process for three very specific previous years, but actually this started in 2007. We have some great initiatives and projects, both industrial, commercially, residential projects. We also have what many people may not be familiar with is the Milton Youth Coalition. The city just got a 5-year grant, and we're the fiscal agent for the Milton Youth Coalition, which is a community-wide coalition that addresses substance misuse and the health of our youth in the city of Milton. We have a vibrant library, which, by the way, was Library of the Year in the past 5 years. And I want to continue to be part of that. I do believe that there is always a time for leadership, but we have to consider is what type of leadership and what is the right timing for that leadership change. I promise I am not going to be mayor forever. I know that Tom probably wishes that might be the case, that he could keep running against me, but.
So next question for the both of you, and this is, I'm going to preference these next series of questions. You two are unique that you both have experience in this role. And so this next series of questions are going to play into this unique manner. First into that, we did get a question from the audience, which ties right into this, as you're both familiar. So to this is, Anissa, this question is for you. City employees have yearly reviews. How often should department operations be reviewed as a whole?
Well, actually, department operations are also reviewed yearly. And as part of being a city, we have all of our financials are audited on a yearly basis. So every year when we are creating our budget, which is based on the mission, vision, and values that the community created when they partnered with us to modernize our strategic plan, we review, needs, wants, and we analyze where is this in our planning process. We have a capital improvement plan. We have a roads and infrastructure plan. We have a comprehensive plan. We have a strategic plan. Our Parks and Recs has a work plan, and so does historic preservation. So we have a framework and a guideline also within our policies and procedures that we review, evaluate, and analyze where we're at, where we're going, and where we really need to be in the future.
Thank you. Tom, same question for you. City employees have yearly reviews. How often should department operations be reviewed as a whole?
As far back as I can remember, we've always reviewed all of our city departments, the heads of those departments and the departments themselves. We've always done it. Sometimes the reviews aren't good and we always catch the feedback, but it's all done by the city administrator. Those department heads create the budget. Then we let them know, what we can do. And most of the time, I was kind of sad to see Howard Robinson retire, because Howie was he always presented the most amazing budgets. But we've always reviewed them, and I think I don't think, and that sounds like it hasn't changed. So we just continue on the current course. I think we should be fine, because it seems to be working so far.
Thank you, Tom. Next question is for you, sir. What are some unique attributes of yourself that makes you well suited for mayor?
Well, other than the fact I've done it before, I think we made great progress when I was mayor before. We laid the groundwork for a lot of things happening now. I know, Vanessa says, what type of leadership do you want? Well, I was a captain on the Milton Fire Department. It was a passion of mine. I used to send men into burning buildings, and some of them were my friends. Well, all of them were my friends. They were all my family. Until you have taken on that type of leadership role, you really don't have much of an idea what leadership is, because it's strainful. It's very stressful to do. My father taught me a long time ago, and he was a chief of police. He taught me a long time ago about, how to lead. And I feel you should lead by example. You should not compromise your principles for anyone. And you never lie. You always tell the truth. And I know that's something that's lacking in politics, but if you look back at my past record as mayor, you'll find out that I never lied, even though I took a lot of shots from people because I didn't say what they wanted to hear. But I've always told the truth, and I've never compromised my principles. And when I left the mayor's office, I left with my head held pretty high and my dignity intact, so I don't feel so bad.
Thank you, Tom. Anissa, same question for you. What are some unique attributes of yourself that makes you well suited for mayor?
First of all, I really want to honor what Tom has shared with you about his experience being mayor, and also his experience in the fire department, his history of public safety, and how he stands for his principles. And I think that is something that we should be proud of in a former mayor. I have a lot of lived experiences and work experiences. Certainly my time as a juvenile probation officer and managing crises on a daily basis, my education, my training, all of the training that I have done throughout the state of Wisconsin and learning about municipal government, having a growth mindset. One of the things that I have done that I can say that no mayor has ever done in the city of Milton is I led the city of Milton through a pandemic. And our main goal and our philosophy was every life is worthy of saving. And we should save as many lives as we possibly can. It was the most stressful time of my entire life. When the pandemic started, I read the history of our medical system, our healthcare system. I read the history of the 1917 flu pandemic. I read Call Sign Chaos by General Mathis. I adopted the Marines, Improvise, Adapt, Overcome. And we set out with a plan that we knew that we would have to change on a regular basis. And we had to keep our community safe. We had to keep our staff safe. And we had to make sure that people did not lose hope. And we had to provide them with stability, and we did. We continued our services. We adapted how we did business, and we also made some changes to some fees and some economic changes to make it easier. So those are my unique qualifications.
Thank you very much. And we just want to make sure we're being mindful on the 2-minute timeline with Intuit. Thank you very much. Tom, in your 10 years of mayor, what was the 2 of your most proudest accomplishments while you served?
I didn't have 10 years.
I'm sorry, your tenure.
Tenure. Oh,
Yep.
okay. I wish I had 10 years. But, well, I think one of the biggest things I'm proud of is that we worked on infrastructure so hard. Like I said, we bought this building from Dean. It was a Dean Clinic building. We bought it. They wanted $900,000. Jerry Schutz and I sat down with there used to be a hallway out here. We sat down with the realtor right out in that hallway, and we negotiated. And by the time it was done, this building cost the city $300,000, not including renovations. We managed to build a new DPW building. DPW had stuff scattered all over the city. It was becoming a safety concern of mine. So we built them a modernized DPW building on city property, so we didn't have to buy the land. It's a beautiful building. If you haven't had a chance to tour it, I would suggest you try to make arrangements to do that. It's a beautiful building. And we managed to cover all of the bases for working on infrastructure, except for the fire department. And that was not on the fault of the city, that was on the fault of the township. We had our half of the money, they didn't, to build a new station. But that was something that we knew we were going to have to do. So, I mean, I think that during my tenure as mayor, we set one foot in front of the other to bring the infrastructure improvements needed, the land needed for future development. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Thank you, Tom. Anissa, same question to you. What is in your tenure, what's the 2 proudest accomplishments while serving as mayor?
Well, when I took over as mayor, we didn't have any financial or fiscal policies in place. What that led to was a very high debt ratio. When I took over, 25 cents of every dollar was going to pay off our debt. We created and we implemented an aggressive debt policy to pay down our debt and to never put our city at that risk again. Because I don't think, and certainly I didn't understand, and I was on the council then, that people fully understood the risk that our city was at that time. We did make very tough decisions. We weren't ahead, and we weren't maintaining our roads the way that we needed to. And we did enact a sales tax, and it was a wheel tax, and it was not popular. And the first year that I was mayor, I said I would veto it, but the revenue from the state decreased so dramatically. We had a mandate to pursue economic development, and we had to do some investing, and we had to ask the community to step up and invest in their own community. Over that period of time, we have collected almost $1 million in wheel tax. That $1 million investment by our community created $225 million in equalized value. It is because the city had the confidence and they had the courage to step up and make that investment. And once that investment started and we paved the downtowns, we We don't have vacancies in the downtowns. We have a thriving commercial and industrial area, and we have thriving residential development. Those are things, not that I'm just proud of, but the city should be proud of.
Thank you, Nisa. Question for you, Nisa. What was one of the most challenging items, projects, or memories while being mayor? And what made it such a challenge, and what did you learn from it?
The most challenging thing was the pandemic. By far, it was the most challenging thing. What I learned from it is that we had built and we had created a very resilient community. And I learned how strong our community was. I learned how they could adapt. I learned how strong our staff was. And I learned how strong I was. In the beginning days, not only did the entire community and the entire staff have to change their way of doing business, I had to change my whole way of doing business as a juvenile probation officer. It was trying. It was 18-hour days. It was not sleeping. It was day after day after day of adapting to a new recommendation or a new change. It was standing in line and testing. It was hearing about a sick employee and worrying like, oh my gosh, are they going to make it? Is my community going to make it? Am I going to lose people that I love? Is the community going to lose people that they love? How are we ever going to recover? It's the most challenging to have all those unknowns and not really have a roadmap. Because the roadmap that I had from the 1900s, I didn't think that it was going to go that way. I want to tell you, it went that way. We handled the pandemic as a world the same way that we handled the flu. However, what we did do differently is we came out of it stronger, better. At least our community did. More loving, more kind, more willing to have each other's back. And that is something to celebrate.
Thank you, Nisa. Tom, same question back to you. What was one of the most challenging items, projects, memories while being mayor? And what made it such a challenge? And what did you learn from it?
Well, I'll tell you right now, being mayor is a challenge every day. There's every day brings something new. I think my biggest challenge was when we decided to start looking at replacing buildings. I'm not quite a penny pincher, but I really have to question sometimes, money. I really do. It bothers me if I start, when we start talking about money, I just sit there and go, boy, oh boy, do we need this? We got together with our financial people and sat down, and we were told we could comfortably borrow $3.4 million. We planned on using part of that money to build a fire station. Well, it fell through. So we decided to go with the DPW building because that seemed to be the next thing of need. It was very, very difficult for me, very challenging to try to navigate that through the council and then try to present it to the citizens of the taxpayers in a positive light. Because it's hard to tell people, okay, we're gonna borrow $3.5 million, and this is what we want to do with it. And in all reality, I think we did well with the money. But anytime we start talking about large amounts of money, I consider that a huge challenge for me because I as a taxpayer, I have a wife who I have to answer to, so things turn kind of different if you raise taxes.
Thank you, Tom. Next question is for you, sir. What is the single largest issue in Milton today? Why is it the most important issue, and what actions are you going to take to address it?
Well, I think part of it got addressed with the council members up here is our streets. You know, Madison Avenue is the state's responsibility. They definitely need to step up to the plate when they're sitting on a surplus and give more money back to the community, because some of that money came from us. We used to have a road budget, and I understand if and that's settled $1 million they've collected so far. $1 million won't buy you a mile of road replacement, total road replacement. So you're pretty limited. We used, but that doesn't mean you still can't fix the potholes. And trust me, driving down High Street is a whole new experience in pain if you have a 1-ton truck. There's a dip that's been in front of the library for 3 or 4 years. We used to put up a sign that said bump, but now they don't even put up a sign. You just wait till you hit it. And that was one of the biggest concerns, that when I went out and talked to people and collected signatures, going door to door, was where is that $30 going? Well, you have to explain to them that $1 million won't even get you a mile of street. And it's very hard for people to comprehend that. So, I mean, it's that and a challenge. I mean, and I'm sure something will come up about the fire district. I have some thoughts on that too, but we'll wait for that later.
Lisa, same question to you. What is the single largest issue in Milton today? Why is it the most important issue? And what actions will you take to address it?
Well, a couple of things that I want to help clarify. We do have a 10-year pavement plan created by city staff. Madison Avenue, North Clear Lake Road, is the state's responsibility. They are not going to do anything with that for, I would bet, 7 to 10 years, as far as we can tell, and from the conversations that we've had. So what the city of Milton believes is that that is not acceptable, and we do need to step up to the plate. So we are using our ARPA funds to pave Madison Avenue and North Clear Lake Road, because it's that's not how we want people to come into our city. Second of all, High Street does have a dip. It is an ongoing dip, and that has to do with settling and some of the infrastructure there. One of the things that we were able to do was we were able to apply for, and we did receive, federal funding from the new federal infrastructure bill. And we have over $900,000 that's coming from the federal government. We will be paving High Street in 2026. It's always a constant challenge. Roads are, infrastructure is. But really the main challenge of what is always going to be for every municipality is intentionally planning for affordable, sustainable communities, right? That thrive, that have a high quality of life, that people want to move to, that people want to start a business at, and people want to raise families and retire here. That's always going to be a challenge. The city has been responsible with their budgeting. How do I know we've been responsible with our budgeting? Because we've always qualified for the bonus for expenditure restraint from the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you, Anissa. Anissa, this next question starts with you, and Tom just referred to it a moment ago. We have a lot of change in our fire department within the city, and we'd like to hear your opinion of that change.
Yeah, that is, it has been a concern since 2007. That's when we started creating work groups with staff. We did another study in 2011 and 2015. We had consultants come in. We've had an ongoing issue with having a sustainable staffing and facilities model. There was a point where almost every 6 months the staff were coming to us and asking for a different staffing model. And we tried multiple configurations. We knew this was happening. We knew it was going to happen for a long time, that we weren't going to be able to rely on a volunteer model. It's happening across the state, across the country. We also knew, based on even the models that we created with the staff, that we really weren't going to be able to go alone on this. You cannot go from a volunteer model, which we have been blessed with, when that pool dries up, to a full-time career model fire and EMS and paramedic services that's sustainable. And it's going to cost money, and it's going to be a big investment. We knew that all along. What we wanted to do was create a partnership and create a plan that was a long-term, sustainable staffing and facilities model. And we wanted it to be less expensive than all of the other models that we looked at, including going alone. And we know the communities that have tried to go alone. We know the communities that have collapsed around us, that one day they have ambulance service and the next day they don't. It was a hard decision. We can talk more about it.
Thank you, Nissan. Tom, same question back at you. Is we've had a lot of change currently in our fire department, and would you like to share your opinion on that change?
Well, if this is supposed to solve a staffing issue, it is not. Right now, our stations are being staffed with 3 people most of the time. Now, miraculously, the city and the town have managed to find the funds to man them with 5 people on the weekends. I happened to be at the fire station a few days ago, maybe weeks, and I witnessed one of their 9 o'clock calls between Edgerton Station and Milton Station. And it was very interesting to sit and listen to it, because you were going to have this person that wasn't going to be there, so you're going to be down to 2. But you might get this one back at another time. We still have a manning issue. And my problem is we're going to spend approximately $50 million to build fire stations. 2 here, 1 in Newville, remodel Janesville Station. We're going to spend, that's an estimate, $50 million. What are you going to man them with? Because right now you can't man 2. So this only exacerbates the problem that we had before. And I just think there should have been a little more time and effort put into this, brought in some sort of expertise besides the Edgerton fire chief. Talk to your own chiefs. You had 150 years of experience sitting at your Milton fire station, and they didn't utilize it. Inviting them to the council chambers isn't consulting. Sit down around the table, pump them for information. They will tell you whether they think it's a good deal or whether it's bad. They're not going to be selfish about it, because they believe, like everyone in emergency services believes, that you're there to protect the people of your city. I'll leave it at that.
I do just want
Thank you, Tom.
a rebuttal.
If you'd like to rebuttal, please.
Okay, one thing I can say about, first of all, it's been since February 1st. We are appropriately staffed. We are absolutely appropriately staffed. How do I know that? Because I have the record of the calls. I have the record of the times when there were 18 times that both departments, East and West, had simultaneous calls. We had one instance, and we had, in the month of February, we had 196. Year to date, it was 196, and West was 186. For February, East was 65 and West was 99. There was one time when we called for mutual aid. One time. We had meetings throughout 2022 with the command staff, several of them. I know because I was updated and I sat through those meetings. Our staff was integral in creating this plan. Chris Lucas is the one that designed the entire training plan, and our command staff and our employees are working throughout this whole transition model. It is going to be hard. There's going to be bumps in the road. We never thought it was easy, and we're not going to solve a 10-year problem in 30 days. we're just not.
Thank you, Nisa. I was going to offer you, Tom, a 1 minute rebuttal to that.
She has a list of all the calls. I'm glad that the fire chief, provided it for. Maybe they would like to explain why it took a responding unit 22 minutes to get to its destination within the city the other day, since we have everything staffed. You have to understand fire operations, folks. I know not everybody's going to have the same degree of understanding, but if you have 3 people at your station and you get, say, an accident or a mass casualty event, and you have to roll an ambulance and an engine, you don't have enough to roll an engine. And if the other station is involved, they're not going to have enough to run an engine either. It's a manning issue, and it is something that's supposed to have been solved, and it's not being solved.
Tom,
Thank you,
if
Tom.
you were at the meeting last week,
Anissa,
you could have
if
got
I
this
could,
sheet too.
point of order, I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
So this is going to be the last question of the night with Intuit, and then we'll proceed to closing statements. Okay. Is your term as mayor, what were some of the strategies you used to engage with the community for feedback?
It's actually pretty easy. If you're mayor, you know as well as I do, they'll engage you. If they have an issue, they'll engage you. When we sat on the council together, if you wanted to fill this room, you could discuss sidewalks. That was really the big one. Or you're going to raise their taxes. That was another big one. But I mean, all you have to do is be approachable, and go and talk to the business owners. Go out and, talk to the people. It's not that hard. My wife says, "Do you know that person?" I went, "No." But they're out here in the community, so obviously they're, it doesn't hurt to talk to them. It's not that hard. It really is, or isn't. So, I mean, there's not any one word I use. Am I very good at remembering a lot of names? No. But I've met a lot of people in my life. I'm 64 years old. So, if I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, but I feel free to talk to me because I'll listen to anybody. You can ask my wife.
Thank you, Tom. Anissa, the last question to you is, as your tenure as a mayor, what are some of the strategies you use to engage the community for feedback?
Tom, I want you to know I'm going to agree with you, so hang on to the chair.
I feel this coming on. What was that Fred Sanford thing?
And I actually adore Tom, and we're not going to have the same ideology, and we're not going to get along, and we may not even like each other sometimes. But I absolutely appreciate him getting in the mayor's race and giving the community a choice. He's right. All you have to do is maybe go to the grocery store, or maybe take a walk, or maybe grab a beer at the pub, and people will engage with you. You also have to be available, accessible, and willing to have a conversation, and willing to take the time to really listen. And that's what people want. They want to be heard. They want to know that you care. You may not be able to solve the problem. It may not even be a problem that the city can solve, but people want to be heard. I work full time, so I'm not always easy to get a hold of. So I have to make personal appointments. And I always offer people that I will come to your home. I will go to coffee. I will meet you where you're at, and I will meet you wherever you feel comfortable being. And I'll discuss anything with you, and we don't have to agree. One of the things that the city of Milton did do is we did create an Inga. I have to do a shout out to Inga. Is like a formal communications plan. And we looked at how can we communicate and engage the community more effectively, more efficiently, and where are people at, right? Are they on Facebook? Are they on TikTok? Where are people at? How can we engage with them? We have done an excellent job bringing people in on committees, on planning, on strategic planning. And Tom's right. Let's talk about sidewalks, taxes in the fire department, and you will get engagement.
Thank you very much, Nisa. We're going to proceed to the closing remarks. Nisa, we'll start with you. Please give your closing statement for the night.
I want to thank the chamber again, and I want to thank Tom. I want to thank him for being so nice tonight.
Always nice.
And I'm sure I gave him some more things to Facebook post about, but
Probably. I hope you read them all.
I don't, but people send them to me. Okay.
Somebody has been.
All right, here's my closing statement. In 2015, we were at 82% of our debt. We did not have financial planning policies to guide our decisions. We're at 36.8% of our debt now. We had lost equalized value for 5 years in a row. And we didn't have a plan really to move forward. The council, the staff, the community, we updated our comprehensive plan, our strategic plan, and we incorporated the mission and the values that the community thought were going to be the best guiding posts. Because of the community's willingness to invest and partner with us and put that time in, we did increase our equalized value to $225 million since 2015. I'm going to brag. We are one of the shining stars of the whole entire state of Wisconsin in our ability to pursue economic development, and CQC and CNG and all of those places and all of our small business owners. It's a success story. It is something to be proud of. I am not taking credit for it. I just happen to be part of the team that got us to where we're going. And as your 4-term mayor, we did create a winning team, and we did get the job done. And we met every moment and every challenge. And I will continue to collaborate. I will continue to work with the council staff, residential, business community, school district, any other agency, organization, or individual that wants to create a thriving community with a high quality of life. I want to partner with you. I'm asking you for your vote April 4th.
Thank you, Nisa. Tom, would you please give your closing statement for the night?
Well, back when I was mayor, we tried our very best to keep your taxes low. The tax levy was $1 million less than it is today. The city is collecting and spending $1 million more in the tax levy and 25% more tax dollars than it did 2012, while the population only increased 3%. Equalized value is a wonderful thing. That's what allows the city to, quite frankly, if you got a $100,000 home, they're going to tax you $1, you're going to pay $1,000 in taxes. The following year, your home is assessed at $125,000, and the city does have to assess properties. That's part of the deal. That's the law. If your house is $125,000, now your equity went up. They're still going to hit you with that dollar, but they're also going to collect more taxes. So I would do everything that I can to try to monitor this and keep it under control. And by the way, anything billing coming with the fire department, I hate to keep beating that horse, but any billing coming from the fire department, all of your bills you get from the fire district, that budget is going to be decided by them. They're just going to walk in the door and hand Milton a piece of paper and go, here's what you got to pay. That's all what you have to pay is based on your equalized value of your community. So having a high equalized value is probably going to sting a little bit when we get our first bill from the fire district.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you both very much for your time
Tom,
tonight.
it's Tom.
Oh, Tom. Sorry.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you you two very much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you all for being here. We also want to thank Inga and Jenny for helping with all of our tech and making sure that this could happen tonight. And thanks to Derek for being our moderator, and thanks to John for roaming the room for us. I'm going to give you, I can't leave without doing a few shameless plugs for the chamber. We have our Pot of Gold raffle that's happening, and the drawing is Friday morning. There are still tickets available at Piggly Wiggly, so make sure you go and get those. I do also have them at the office. And we have our awards dinner is March 23rd. We are honoring so many people here in the community, so that's always a great thing. Our Easter egg scramble is April 8th. So if you have kids and want to come up and do an Easter egg scramble, I suppose adults can do it too. And we are bringing back our Molten Hops, and that'll be April 22nd. And then there's a whole bunch more, but I won't keep you any longer. So thank you very, very much. And thank you to all the candidates for being here tonight and for everyone watching. Thank you.